What up, peeps? KgDriftyy's in the building. I'm here to bring you guys some more Blackouts 4 Blackout tips and strategies. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the 3 best perks to use in Blackout. And before I get started with this video, I want to let you guys know that these 3 perks are basically my personal preference. Many other people have their personal preference on perks that they like to use the most. But for me, these are the 3 best perks to use in Blackout and help you get your win and help you get your dub. And no matter if you're playing solo, squad, or duo. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Now, starting off with the very first perk, and that is awareness. And people who don't know what awareness is, basically awareness helps you hear enemy footsteps from a greater distance. And I cannot stress how much important this perk is. It's extremely useful. It comes in handy, especially when you're in the hardest times, especially when the circle is small, or if you're just waiting for different people to kill off. You're just waiting for people to kill off each other just so you can have a higher advantage of winning the game. It comes in handy because a lot of people tend to try to get you from behind. A lot of people tend to use dead silence, and I feel like awareness can help you hear even dead silent players, and it comes extremely handy, and especially if you're looting or anything like that, or if you're alone, you can easily hear enemies from a far distance, especially when you're playing solo. Awareness can come in handy big time, especially in solo. A little bit in duo and a little bit in squads. I feel like it works regardless of what game mode that you do play. But when you're playing duo or squads and you're communicating with friends and things like that, it can make it a little bit hard to hear. But when you're playing solo, this perk is extremely helpful, and this is really OP. And I swear it will help you with any point of the game. It will give you a higher advantage over players. So make sure you always use this perk and save the perk. Usually tend to the middle to the end of the round, end of the game. It comes in handy, especially towards the end of the game when the circle gets smaller and smaller, because you can hear the enemies from a far distant, greater distance, and it gives you a higher advantage over the enemy player. Now, starting off with the second perk that I recommend, and that is dead silence. And dead silence basically helps you move quietly, and it creates less noise when opening stash or anything in that sort of matter. And obviously, dead silence is one of the most important things to use in the game, obviously, because like I said, people who don't have awareness, you can easily come up from behind them. And we all know that the footsteps is extremely loud in Blackout. People can hear you from a mile away, even without awareness. It's just dead silence becomes extremely handy, especially when you're trying to do stealth kills or when you're trying to loot other people in different buildings and you hear other players. When you have dead silence, it gives you a higher advantage on taking out that enemy because they cannot hear you due to how silent it is. And it is extremely helpful, especially when you're in the middle to end of the game, when you're trying to win the game, especially when it's low, when the circle is small. It gives you a higher advantage to take out enemies from a far distance or a greater distance. Or on top of that, if you want to take the fight close range, it becomes a whole lot easier when you want to become stealthy. And I feel like it's extremely overpowered. And when you use dead silence with awareness, that can be one of the most overpowered setups that you can have on Blackout. But dead silence is the way to go, and I recommend everybody saving that, especially when you're in the middle to end of the game. It comes extremely in handy, and I recommend don't using that until the circle gets a little smaller, and then when the enemies are a little bit, when the number is down a lot more. And now, last but not least, the last perk that I recommend is Consumer. And basically, Consumer reduces the use of time of health and consumable items by 50%. And this can be extremely helpful, especially when you're in the middle of gunfights. You can easily heal yourself extremely fast, take the enemy out, get the gunfight, and just win it all the way. And especially, and it can be extremely helpful, especially when you want to put on perks or anything in that matter. It could come extremely in handy, like I said, especially when you're in gunfights or when you're towards the end of the circle or just in the middle of the game. Things like this can really be a big difference, especially when you're in the middle of gunfights, because like I said before, you can heal yourself pretty fast, and it basically reduces the time to use a lot of the perks or just health in general. So I recommend using the Consumer. Consumer is one of the most important things that you can use within Blackout. And like I said before, these 3 perks are mostly my personal preference. I like to use these. It helps me out a lot. I feel like they're more important. Obviously, there's other perks that can be stronger than others, but in my opinion, I feel like these are probably one of the most 3 important perks that you should use in Blackout, and that you should save towards mostly the end of the game or when it's lower players in the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If these perks and tips, aka tips, helped you, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Also like the video and subscribe if you have not already. And on top of that, share the video if you want. And if you want me to do any more tips and strategies on Blackout, make sure you comment below and let me know. More great videos coming soon. I got a lot more dope videos coming, especially for Blackout tips, and also I have some multiplayer tips I will be bringing to you guys as well. So if you guys, like I said before, hope you guys enjoy it. More great videos coming soon, and I'll see you guys.